So in this video, we're going to be solving some questions related to topic 2.1. And yeah, so I've drawn a Pascal's triangle here because that's going to be very helpful. And we haven't yet, so the textbook doesn't yet introduce you to the formula, to the binomial expansion formula yet. Although I have done it in the previous video, but we're going to be sticking to using Pascal's triangle for this one. And we'll get to the formula in the next video. So yeah, basically it says use Pascal's triangle to find the expansions of. So I'll do A, I'll do F, and I'll do A, I'll do G, and let me do H. So I'll leave the rest to you because I think they are very doable. So A just tells me that x plus 2 cubed. So I want to go to my Pascal's triangle. N is equal to 3. N is equal to 3 is this row. And I want to start my expansion. So I take my coefficient. The first coefficient is 1. X to the power 3. So your first, whatever term is, that's going to start from the highest power. Your second term is going to start from the 0 power. Now I take the next coefficient. 3. First term decreases by 1. And then you have second term increases by 1. And go on. X 1, 2 squared plus, and then finally you have 2 cubed because it's going to be 1 times x to the power 0. That is just 1. So you have x cubed plus 3 2s is 6x squared plus 12x plus 8. And that is it. So let's use Pascal's triangle to do G. So I have 2x minus 3, 4. And this is going to be my A. Minus 3 is going to be my B. Remember that. You have to take the signs and the coefficients into consideration. So you go to n is equal to 4, and you use these. You start with 2x, right? That is your A to the power 4. And then you go to, your coefficient is 4. So 2x cubed, and then you have minus 3 to the power 1, and then your coefficient is 6. 2x squared minus 3 squared, and then your coefficient is 4 again. 2x minus 3 cubed, and finally you have your coefficient is 1. 2x to the power 0 is 1, so you have minus 3, 4. And notice we start from 2x to the power 4, and the power of 2x gradually decreases to 0. K goes from 4 to 0. And for minus 3, k goes from 0 to 4. And now when you do the expansion, you get 16x to the power 4. And if you simplify this, you get minus 24x cubed, right? 4 3s are 12, times 2 is 24. You have a negative sign, and x to the power 3. Plus, and then it's negative 3 to the power 1 is still negative 3. That's why you get the negative sign. Negative 3 squared, that is positive. That is 9, right? Oh, sorry. This is negative 3 times 4, negative 12 times 2 cubed. Don't forget to cube 2. So 2x cubed is actually 8x cubed. And then you have to multiply by 12. And then you have the negative sign. 4 3s are 12. So 12, 8. That is 96, I believe. So you can use your calculator to compute the products. So 12 times 8 is 96. And then next you have 6 times 2 squared is 4. So the square term just evaluates to 4x squared times 9. So 6 times 9 times... So 6 times 36, I believe. 9 times 4 times 6 is 216. So you have 216x squared plus 4 times 2 times 27. So this is going to be negative 27, right? So you have negative 27 times, you have 2 times 4. So that gives you 4 times 2 times negative 27, gives you negative 216. So you get minus 216 x, because x to the power 1, and finally you have 81. So you have 16x4 minus 96x plus 216x squared minus 216x plus 81. And yeah, that is how you approach all of these questions. And let's do h. H x squared. Now, it's the same idea, just the manipulation is a bit tedious in this case. Cubed. So we start, well, n is equal to 3. You go to the same row again. And we say, oh, sorry about that. Well, let's start with 1. And then you're going to start with x squared cubed. Your next coefficient is going to be 3. The power of x squared is going to decrease by 1. So initially it was 3, now it's 2. So you take x squared to be a and this to be b. So you can actually do it in terms of a and b first, and then substitute a is equal to x squared, b is equal to 3 over 2x cubed. So that is also perfectly fine. And then you have 3 2x cubed to the power 1 plus 3x squared to the power 1, 3 over 2x cubed to the power squared, and finally you have 3 over 2x cubed. And you do the expansion, you get x to the power 6 plus 9. 3 times 3 is going to give me 9. I have x to the power 4. X squared 2 times 2 is 4, divided by 2x cubed. And when you do x4 divided by x cubed, you just get x. You have 9 over 2x plus. Now you have 3 squared. That is 9 times 3 is 27. I have x squared here. And in the denominator, I have 2 squared. 2 squared is 4. And x cubed squared is x to the power 6. And this gives me x to the power 2 minus 6, x to the power negative 4. That is just x to the power 4 in my denominator. Plus 3 cubed, that is 27, right? Divided by 2 cubed is 8. And then you have x to the power x. 3 times 3 is going to be 9. So that is your answer for h. So I know it's a bit tedious, but this should be your answer. x6 plus 9 over 2x plus 27, 4 over x to the power 4 plus 27, 8, x to the power 9. So that is your answer. So now that you're used to using Pascal's triangle, which I hope you are, and doing the other questions as practice is going to be very, very helpful. Let's move on to question 2. So the question 2 says, find the coefficient of x cubed in the expansions of. So let's do h, g, h, and c. So I'll leave the rest to you because the idea is going to be very, very similar. So let's draw our Pascal's triangle. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, 3, 1, 1, 4, 6, 4, 1, 1, 5, 10, 10, 5, 1. So this is n0, n1, n2, and so on, right? So now, I'm starting with c. I'm given 3 minus x to the power 5. So now, if you think about it, right? This is going to start from 3 to the power 5, and then go from 3 to the power 4, 3 to the power 3, 3 to the power 2, and 3 to the power 1. So that is how the terms are going to be arranged. So there are a few ways to do this. One way is you can expand. So you can say, well, hey, this is just going to be, you can use Pascal's triangle. I'm so sorry. When n is equal to 5, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is my 6th row, right? This is what happens when n is equal to 5. So you start from 3 to the power 5 plus 5 times 3 to the power 4 minus x plus 5 times 3 to the power 3 minus x. So this is going to be 10. 1, 5, 10 plus 10 times 3 to the power squared minus x cubed plus 5 times 3 to the power 1 minus x 4. Finally, you have minus x to the power 5. And it says, find the coefficient of x cubed. So I'm going to look here and I'm going to say, hey, this is my x cubed term. This is x0, x1, x squared, x4, x5. So that is going to give me x cubed. So I have 10 times 3 squared times negative x cubed. And this gives me 10 times 9 times negative x cubed. negative x to the whole cubed is still negative x cubed. And that gives me negative 90x cubed. So the coefficient is just negative 90. That is one way to do it. Another way to do it is that, well, you have 5 things. You have to think of selections. I have 5 things. How many 3's do I want to select so that I get 3 x's, right? So I have 5 things. I think if I select 2 3's, so I have, this is going to be 3 minus x 5 times, right? So I have 5 things in total. If I select 2 3's, so you're going to think in terms of the first term here. If I select 2 3's, then I'm automatically selecting 3 x's. And 3 x's is going to give me x to the power 3. So if I select 2 3's, select 2 3's, I'm going to get 2 3's. I'm going to automatically select 3 of minus x's, right? And it's the same thing. 2 is 5 factorial over 2 factorial times 3 factorial. And that just, when you evaluate it, that's just going to give you 10 times 3 squared is 9 times negative x cubed. And that gives you negative 90 again. So whichever is easier for you to think. If you do this, you don't have to expand the whole thing out. So now the next question, let me do it in this way because it's shorter, right? So g is 4x plus 3 to the power 4. And I want to think in terms of the first terms. I have 4 items. I want to select 3 of the first item, right? I want to select 3 of the first items. That is how I get x to the power 3. So if I'm selecting 3 of the first item, then I get 4x. I can select 3, and I can just select 1 of 3. Sorry, I think there should be, this should not be correct. So I would recommend you to just expand it out so that you prevent making a mistake, but it should be doable in that way. So the correct way to think about it would be, well, when is x to the power 3 going to occur? Well, it's going to be the next one, right? So if I start expanding, I'm going to start with 4x4 plus 4x3 and then some coefficient and so on. So I'm looking for this term. So I do the same thing again. So I start with 4 items, but if I want to select 3 items, right? So you want to think in terms of actually your 3 here in this case. So you can try to write it out and then figure it out. But you have 4 items. And if I select 1 of just 3, then I automatically select 3 units of 4x cubed, right? So now, this gives me 4c1. The 4, if you simplify this, this is just going to give you 4 times 3 times 4 cubed times x cubed. And that is going to be, but you can always expand it out. 4 times 3 times 4 to the power 3. And that is 768. So for part G, your answer should be 768, which it is. So you can also manually expand everything, although that's going to take a bit longer than just trying to figure it out this way. And let's do H again. See, again, you can expand it out and you can figure out what the coefficient is. So let's do it both ways. So first, let me expand it out using Pascal's triangle. So I'll go to my 5th row, this row, where my n is equal to 4. And I'll say, hey, so I have 1 times 5 to the power 4. 5 to the power 4 plus 4 times 5 to the power 3. And then I have minus x by 2 to the power 1 plus I have 6 times 5 to the power 2 minus x by 2 to the power 2 plus, again, 4 times 5 x over 2 cubed. Finally, I have minus x over 2 to the power 4. And I want the x cubed term, which is going to be this. So I can say, hey, well, that's 5 times 4 is 20, times minus x cubed is just minus x cubed, and 2 cubed is 8. So that is going to give me 5 by 2. And I have a negative sign. So negative 5 by 2 x cubed. So my coefficient is going to be negative 5 by 2. And how do we figure out in terms of selections? Well, let's see. I have 4 items. If I select 1, 5, I automatically select 3x minus 2. So if I select 1, 5, automatically I select, because there are only total of 4 items. If I select 1, 5, then I have to select 3 from the remaining things. So 4C1 or 4 select 1 is just 4 times 5 times, and it's the same thing, divided by 8, negative 3, and you get negative 5 by 2 x cubed, which is, the coefficient is just negative 5 by 2. So that is another way to look at this question. And I believe you are capable of doing all the other questions as practice. So part C, part 3, it just says find the value of A, B, and C. So the value of A, B, and C, how do we do that? Well, you can expand everything, and that is the way to go. So I can expand 3 plus x to the power 5, right? 3 plus x to the power 5 is going to be, and I go to my, so I erase my Pascal's triangle, but I can always draw it again. 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, 3, 1, that is 3. 1, 4, 6, 4, 1, that is when n is equal to 4, and 1, 5, 10, 10, 5, 1. So that is when n is equal to 5. So using this, I have 3 to the power 5, 1 times 3 to the power 5, plus 5, 3 to the power 4, x to the power 1, plus 10, 3 to the power 3, x to the power 2, plus 10, 3 to the power 2, x to the power 3, plus 5, 3, x to the power 4, and finally, I have x to the power 5. And if I do 3 minus x to the power 5, then that gives me, and if you do the expansion, for every odd power of x, this is an odd power, this is an odd power, and this is an odd power, you're going to get the same terms, but with a negative sign. So you're going to get, everything is going to be the same, but you're going to get a negative sign. So all the other terms remain unchanged. You just get some terms. All the terms where x is odd, it's raised to an odd power, you get a negative sign instead of a positive one. And I encourage you, just first try to manually expand this. So you try to manually expand this on your own, and then you try to think through, because my other term, right, my second term in my expansion is minus x for this part. And when I raise minus x to an odd number, that is going to be minus x to the odd number, minus x cubed if the power is 3. So that is why if it's even, then I get minus x squared is just x squared. So I get the same thing. So 0, x2, and x4 are the even terms. I have a plus sign here, and the odd terms will get a negative sign. So if I add these two together, which is what the question is asking me, I get 2 units of this. These cancel out. Plus 2 units of this, right? 2, I have one thing plus one thing is 2 of that thing. And these cancel out, and finally I get 2 of 5, 3, x to the power 4. And the last thing cancel out as well. So 3 to the power 5 times 2 gives me 486 plus 27, 270, that is going to be 540 x squared, plus finally this is going to be 1530 x to the power 4. And it just asks me to find the value of A, B, and C. So this is A, this is B, and this is C. That is the answer. 540 and C is 30. Yes. So it says, the question 4, the coefficient of x squared in the expansion of this is 216. So find the possible values of the constant A. So we have 3 plus ax to the power 4. And it says in the coefficient of x squared. Well, let's try to use, you can expand it out. And if you expand it out, you get, well, if you use the Pascal's triangle, so you draw the Pascal's triangle 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, 3, 1, 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. So using the 1, 4, 6, 4, 1, because this corresponds to n equal to 4. Again, remember, n0, n1, n2, n3. So 1, 4, 6, 4, 1 corresponds to n4. You get 3 to the power 4 plus 4, 3 cubed ax squared plus 6, 3 squared ax, for ax1, ax squared plus 4, 3 ax cubed plus ax to the power 4. And then we want to look at the squared term. This is the term. So 6 times 3 squared times a squared times x squared is given to have the coefficient 216. So we're saying that 216 x squared. So we're saying these numbers add up to 216. 6 times 3 squared times a squared is 216. A squared is going to be, therefore, 6 times 3 squared is 9. So 216 divided by whatever this value is. And this value simplifies to 54 because it's 6 times 9. Divided by 54 is 4. And therefore, A is going to be plus or minus 2. Why? Well, if I take the square root, then you're just going to get 2. But remember, minus 2 squared is also going to be 4. So A is plus or minus 2. Why? Plus 2 squared. You always remember to substitute back if you're not sure. Positive 2 squared is 4 and negative 2 squared is also 4. So now let's do question 6. Because if you 5 is, I think if we can do 6, then you'll understand how to do 5. So 6a just tells me to expand. Now I'm going to expand it very quickly. X to the power 3 is 1 plus 3x plus 3x squared plus x cubed. That is going to be what you get when you expand for 6a. So you can try on your own. You can use the Pascal's triangle. You can use the formula that I showed you in the previous video, whichever works for you until you get familiar. But because we've done so many of these, I'm just going to do it very quickly. And it says, use your answer to part A to express. Now, remember, from this formula, I can see that if I have a minus x instead of plus x, it's going to be the same thing. All the even powers of x is going to stay the same. So 0 and 2 are going to stay the same. And the odd numbers are going to get a negative sign in front of them. For the same reason that we discussed in part A for question 3. So again, you can think of this on your own. You can try to expand on your own and try to rationalize why this happens. But again, so now that we have this, part B1 tells me I need to express 1 plus root 5 to the power cube. Now, do I need to expand this again? Absolutely not. Because it's the same thing. But rather, I have root 5. So x is root 5. And if I substitute x is root 5 here, I get 1 plus 3 root 5 plus 3 root 5 squared plus 3 root 5 cubed. And when I simplify, I get 1 plus 3 root 5 plus 5 3s are 15, right? Plus root 5 cubed. Root 5 cubed is going to be 5 root 5. And you can try to figure out why that is, but I'll leave that to you be. So 5 3s are 15, you're going to 15 root 5. So we have this. So this simplifies to, now again, before I add everything up, of course it's going to be 16 plus 18 root 5, right? Oh, sorry. I made a mistake here because this is just 5, right? Root 5 cubed is just root 5. Ah, okay, there's no 3 here. So I substitute root 5 as x into this equation. So I get this thing. And root 5 cubed is just going to be 5 root 5. So I have 1 plus 3 root plus 5 plus 15 plus 5 root 5. So that is going to give me 16 plus 8 root 5. And if I want this, then I just substitute everything here, right? So I get 1 minus 3 root 5 plus 15 minus 5 root 5. So I get 16 minus 8 root 5. And if I add them, and if I add, it just tells me to add the two things together. Well, then I see that I'm just going to get 32. Minus 8 root 5 and plus 8 root 5 are going to cancel out. So I just get 32. And for question 7, so 7 is sort of important because now you're expanding two different things. And to do so, well, you just expand them individually. So 1 plus x to the power 1 is just this. And you expand this using Pascal's triangle or using the formula. So let's just use Pascal's triangle. 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, 3, 1, 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. So this is going to be the expansion for n is equal to 4. So I have 2 plus 4 times, I have 2 to the power 4, 4 times 2 cubed, 3x. So let me just take this a bit down. So I'm expanding this very quickly because I hope that we've gotten used to this, right? So I start with 1, 4, and then I decrease my first term's power by 1. So 4 goes to 3, and then I increase my second term's power by 1. So the second term had 0 here. So now it's 1, and now it goes to 6, 2 squared, 3x to the power 2, plus 4, and then 2 to the power 1, 3x to the power 3, and finally you have 3x to the power 4. And when you expand this out, you get 1 plus x, and you have 2 to the power 4, that is 16. 8 fours are 32, that is 96x, I believe. Plus 2 squared is 4. 6 fours are 24 times 3 squared is 9. So that is 216x squared plus 27 times 2, 27 times 8. That is 216x cubed plus 81x to the power 4. And then you can multiply it out. You can simplify finally, and you get 16 plus 96x plus 216x squared plus 216x cubed plus 81x4. And you have to add this I get when I multiply through by 1. And then you have to add 16x plus 96x squared plus 216x cubed plus 216x to the power 4 plus 81x to the power 5. That is what I get when I multiply through by x. And finally, I get 16 plus 96 plus 16 is 112 plus 216 plus 216. So this is the x squared, sorry, 216 plus 96 is 312 x squared plus 216 plus 216 is 432 x cubed plus 81 plus 216 is 297 x to the power 4. And finally, I have 81 x to the power 5. 97x squared 4 3 2x cubed plus 3 1 2x squared 1 1 2x plus 16. So that is the correct answer. So you can expand one term and then multiply through by the other. And that is the end of this video, and I hope this was helpful, and we'll do more questions in the next videos.